and wound up getting by a stop signal up there on a 1% grade.
5.1.
Are you kidding me?
First, hotspot, north, rail, axle, 354, total axle, 366, end of transmission.
354. Are you kidding me? Really? We were going to finish this trip up and we've got a hot... it's going to be stuck brakes, I almost guarantee. We'll look at it and see here in a second. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to more Run 8. We're going to be finishing up our trip today on the Q544. If you remember back several videos ago, we started all the way down in Waycross, and we've just taken it north. We're going to take it all the way to Gay, Georgia, up on the Manchester sub. This is with High Rail Simulations Fitzgerald DLC, which also includes a tiny portion of the Manchester sub, as well as the Lineville sub where it splits off up here in Manchester. So we're in Manchester Yard, we're in the south siding. You remember we met, I think it was Q213 here, right? I think that's who we met. We're in the south siding, and I think what we're going to do is maybe do a little set out as well up here. 544 used to make a set out, at least as far as I remember. Once again, this is a line that I did work in real life back in the day. So I am a little bit familiar with it, and it's pretty dang close. It's not 100% accurate. Like this building here is just a stand-in or a placeholder for the depot. In real life, it was a really nice old-timey kind of steam brick depot. There was actually two buildings. There was a building that kind of sat right in here, which was actually like the depot slash freight house, where we had our crew room and all that stuff. And then right next to it was the old dispatcher center that was built back in the, I guess, the late 40s, early 50s when they did CTC on the line. And they used to do all the dispatching from that building right here before it was moved down to Jacksonville. And it was really neat because they had a bridge, this kind of covered bridge that went between the old freight depot and the dispatcher's building. So that was pretty cool too. So anyway, let's figure out what we're going to do here as far as our set out. We're just going to set out a handful of cars. I don't have any like specifically that I need to set out. I'm just going to kind of go through the motions and show you guys how it was like. Let's see, how do we want to do this? I think we're going to go out. Yeah, we're just going to line ourselves on around towards Atlanta. We don't have any other trains to meet. We're done with our meetings today. No more meetings, right? Let's see, let's go to, there we go. And let's see, this is going to be towards Atlanta, so we won't even use Otto today. We don't need him. No one has time for Otto today, so we'll get, actually we can't get that light. We have to get this one right there. And then that one there, and then we should be good to go. We'll just line ourselves the rest of the way, all the way. Little past the north end of Gay there. We should be good now. I think we're set. Yeah, we got the medium out. All right, so a little bit of creative license here, or a little bit of, I guess, artistic license to get things to work for Otto. They had to put this dwarf in right here. In real life, there wasn't a dwarf here. It was on around back right over here would be actually the dwarf. I think it was actually more like up in here. Where it was at. So yeah, a little bit different, but all in all, really, really close. We used to have these signs all over the yard. Look around before getting down. And yeah, that's what that one says. And the MU cables hung on it too. Yeah, that's pretty much the way it was. Eventually those fell. I don't think these signs made it past 2004. I think they fell. We got 720s power sitting right here on the shop lead. And at one time, they used to have plugs over here where they could actually refuel engines and stuff like that. If you're going out this way, this would be considered the old way. Here is the west siding, and back out this way, it's this was 5th Avenue. Out in here would be like the shop, the locomotive servicing facility. Like there was a whole lot more yard out here way back in the day than what there is now, or what there was when I worked here even in the early 2000s. There used to be a lot more out here, but this would be the old way. This right here would be the new way, and then we would have the leg of the Y right here. So leg of the Y was out of service for a long time. When I was working, they put it back in service. In fact, I was the first part of the first crew that took a train around the Y in a long time. We had to turn a weed spraying train on it. So they the switches were spiked, but they went and unspiked them and did some maintenance to them and a little bit on the track where we could turn our train. All right, let's go back to Q544. So we're lined out. We're ready to go. I think what we're going to do is just come up to right here and we'll hop down on the ground. There we go. That's a little better. All right, we should be set. Go ahead and open the throttle. Let's release the brakes. Let's get our screen up so we can see what we're doing. All right, that should be good. All right, brakes have been released. Let's go ahead and release the independent as well. We'll ease off on it. And what we'll do, we'll just pull forward a little bit. We'll make a cut. And we'll set these cars over in number 1 track, and then we'll go on about our business, going towards the Manchester sub. Just ease on up there. Yeah, this was kind of a regular thing, and when these trains would make set outs in Manchester, it usually tied up the the whole area. All right. We'll probably, I think we're going to set out maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, the first 5 cars. I think that would be good. That'd be pretty reasonable. Used to see boxes set out here a lot for Georgia Pacific up at Duran. The covered hoppers, yeah, they could go to, there was a place just north of the yard on the Lionel side. I can't remember what that place was called, but I want to say they took plastic pellet hoppers there maybe, but this will be good enough. All right, let's go ahead and give it a little independence so we can get slowed down here. We'll make our cut right here behind this boxcar. I think that'll work out perfect for us. Sweet. All right, that'll do right here. Let's scooch on over here. Let's grab this car. And let's close angle cock on this one first before we do that. We'll get you closed. We'll open the coupler and we should be able to take it ahead now. All right, 544, let's take them ahead. About 3-2 a switch. Nice. I love switching. Switching was always a lot of fun. This guy might be, yeah, he's in the clear. I was going to say he might be a little bit close there, but he's all right. The one difference I remember for back then, especially for locals, was it was always some kind of -7. Like, I could count on one hand how many times I had a local that had EMD power on it, like a GP38-2 or GP42 or something like that. And it was probably like 2 or 3 times. It was very rare back then. Usually we had exclusively some kind of a -7. It was like a B30 or a B36 or something like that. Purely because those guys, all those GE units were serviced down in Waycross. So they tended to hang out in the southeast, right? No, we don't need you. We need you. We need that one. All right. Let's go ahead and hop up right here. We'll ride it back a little bit. Yeah, so it was lots and lots of GEs back in the day. They were everywhere. You couldn't swing a stick without hitting some kind of a GE around. And we still had a lot of C30-7s too. Man, that is just kind of close. A little bit. It's a little close for my liking. Spur's been bad. I put that engine there too. I totally did that. That was my fault. Yeah, the GEs, they were everywhere. They really just were. They were literally everywhere. Whoa, we got to get this switch too. Someone's been bad. They left the switch. Like this usually was always lined for the yard lead. We'll hop down. We'll get it taken care of. Come on, let me down. Is it going to let me down? It doesn't look like it's going to let me down. I don't know why it's doing that. I really don't. I have the most trouble with that. All right, let's get this real quick. We'll get him. Let's get this other one. All right, let's get this other one right here. Now I think we're good. We just go ahead and shove it back, honestly. Like, all right, 544. Let's come on back. So yeah, lots of GEs everywhere. C30-7s were, let's see, when I was working, they were mostly like relegated to work trains, stuff like that. We did a lot of stuff on ballast trains with them. Like I can think that's probably the only times I ever had C30-7s were on ballast trains. Pretty much exclusively on ballast trains. But we did have them on mainline runs, and some of the most miserable trips that I ever had on the railroad were in a C30-7, believe it or not. Not because they were necessarily like a problem or anything, but I remember one once, you know, I used to catch all these former Conrail units. Used to see them a lot. They were everywhere back then because it was just a few years out of the Conrail merger, right? And we would get these Conrail units, and I used to always see like duct tape all around the doors, like where they would seal the door off. And I always wondered, I was like, why do they have tape like all around the door like that? Well, then I caught one night as a former Conrail C30 on a rock train, and it was cold as cold could be that night. It was so ridiculously cold. And then I realized that the door, like, it didn't seal at all. Like, it had all kind of wind and air coming in around it. And I was like, well, that makes sense why they seal the doors off, is because to try to keep it at least a little bit warm. All right, let's close you. Let's open the coupler. We'll take this guy forward now. There we go. All right, sweet. See if we can get up here and catch up. Oh, hurry, hurry, hurry. Ooh, a little lag right there for some reason. I don't know what that was about. It didn't like that. And then the other C30-7 trip that I remember having, I caught a rock train, and we had two. It was usually always two C30-7s. That was the thing. I caught the trip, and it was 201 miles on this C30-7. And the lead engine was a former Seaboard Coastline unit, and it had that RS5 horn on it, or whatever you call it. I'm not a horn guy, so I couldn't tell you exactly, but either way, it was like the loudest horn of any horn I have ever heard in my life. And we used to catch, I mean, you know, those horns were pretty common back then, and we just went all about that red signal there, but it's because I'm not used to that. Not used to that being there. It was the loudest horn ever in the history of horns. It really just was. It was ridiculously loud, to the point of where it like hurt, because I didn't have any earplugs that night, so it really just kind of sucked. All right, let's see. Oh, okay, I see why this is. Yeah, it's because it's a crossover. Yeah, I'm trying to remember how this was in real life. Maybe we did keep that line for the shop lead. Some of this stuff has just gotten so fuzzy. It's been so long, right? It's been a long time. All right, let's bring him on back. It's like someone was asking me about locals on a forum, like what I remembered. There's certain things that I remember very vividly, and there's other things that I'm kind of fuzzy on that I don't. You know, it's all relative to like how much I was around it. Like, I'm somewhat familiar with the Fitzgerald locals. I never worked any of them though. We didn't cover those jobs. Those were all Fitzgerald crews. So and they were basically asking about the locals that work down around Fitzgerald and between Fitzgerald and Waycross, like the what is it, 726 and the 754 or something. You know, honestly, like thinking back then, I don't remember anything about those symbols. Like, they don't even remotely ring a bell to me whatsoever. But that's not to say they weren't out there somewhere and I just missed them somehow, you know. I mean, that could be a thing, or my memory could just be really, really getting bad. But all right, let's go ahead and open this guy up. Partial. Hopefully it won't dump on us. It shouldn't. Yeah, we should be good on this. See what it's doing. All right, there we go. Usually I like to wait until the CFM starts to come down and then we can open it up the rest of the way. There we go. All right, we should be good to go. So we made our set out. We put a couple of handbrakes on it to hold it there. That'd be for the local 720. Do something with those cars. There you go. See our power, our Dash 9 there, SD42 and another SD42. Let's scooch on up here, get in. And we'll blast off. See, there he goes. He kicks me right back out for some reason. I don't know why. All right, let's get us a light. We'll get out of here. Let's see. Let's hit you. That should be good right there. And we should be good the rest of the way. All right, we got a medium clear out of the south siding. Heading towards Atlanta. We'll get on out of here. We'll blast off. Yeah, the yard's pretty well flat, so you don't have to worry about it too bad. Don't have to worry about things too bad coming out of here. That window open there for us, get a little fresh air, and we'll get this door back behind us as well too. There we go. All right, come on around here to the north end of the south siding. These signals here are pretty much dead on, minus the dwarf being back there behind us. Like I said, the dwarf was up in here in real life, but it was kind of interesting right here at this spot. If you went around towards Atlanta, you could get a clear going down the main over here, or you could get a medium coming out of the south siding here. And if you were lined around towards the new way here, you could only get a restricting. That was always kind of interesting to me. Sometimes the signal configurations made zero sense, right? Like, there's no rhyme or reason as to why they did something, other than the fact that, like, the only explanation I can come up with is because things changed so much over the year, and they kind of changed it a little bit, but they didn't go all the way. Like, they just kind of did a little fix or a workaround or something like that. So that's what I think that's about. There were several places like that. Like, we had a nice long 3-mile signal siding where we would get a medium in on one end of the siding, but we would get a restricting on the other end of the siding, simply because they just didn't take the time or money to upgrade all the signals when they like lengthened the siding, right? They just left it half and half. In typical railroad fashion, you know, they just kind of just scrape by with what they can do. All right, let's pull on her a little bit more. We are going to have a little bit of a downhill out of here towards the Manchester holdout, towards Pigeon Creek. Yeah, they never did things all the way. They just kind of did it halfway. And that was so aggravating on that 3-mile signal siding where it was restricting on one end. I just absolutely hated it. They put all that money in that and then did that. And we always said, they're going to put that siding in and it's just going to become a parking lot. And sure enough, you would go by it and there would be like 3 trains tied down in it back to back. You know, that was pretty much par for the course. I was like, y'all spent all that money on this nice long, you know, siding, and then just tie trains down in it all the time. Alright, there's Manchester holdout. And in fact, let's shift F8 it so you guys can see where we're at. See the crossings and stuff like that. There, CSXQ 544 got clear by Manchester holdouts. Go ahead and put a little dynamic here. And I need to count off that 40 back there. Wasn't even thinking about that. All right, so we got Woodbury, and then we'll have Gay, and that'll be the end of the trip. I'm not sure how far past the north end of Gay the track goes. I don't think it's too terribly far. I don't think it is. I've never looked at it this way. Like, this is the first time I've ever made a trip northbound on this part of the track. It'll be kind of new for us. So we'll have a climb, Persico Hill. We'll have the climb into Persico. We'll have a little bit of a climb into Woodbury. And then a little bit of a climb into Gay as well. We still see Pine Mountain over there. You kind of see it in the background there. It's kind of neat how the track loops around here. It makes a big horseshoe, actually. Either way, with the grades, we shouldn't have too much of a problem climbing. We're not very heavy at all. We got 2 HPT now, so we're actually doing really good. Kind of a neat look there. You see how the track kind of drops off. It's actually saying our track speed's 10. Maybe it was 10 mile an hour coming out. I can't remember. I'm trying to think how fast we could come out. It's kind of a tricky spot there because you got the 10 on the main and the siding. I thought we could leave out faster than that maybe, but I'm not 100% certain on that. We'll slow it up a little bit here. Yeah, coming north out of Manchester on a Manchester sub for a Manchester crew was kind of rare. I did it a few times, but it wasn't that often. I recruited a few trains. The way they had it set up was Fitzgerald guys, if they could get their train to Manchester, then a Manchester crew would recrew it into Atlanta the rest of the way if they went dead. Same for going down south. If a Manchester crew got the train to Fitzgerald, I think they would relieve it the rest of the way south. So there's a little bit of overlap there. I remember recrewing a few out of Manchester, definitely 544. I definitely remember this train because we always had to do the switching up in Atlanta at Tilford, but I'm trying to think of other trains. A lot of the trains that we recruited on the Manchester side were up around like Peachtree City and Union City up there. I remember recruiting like quite a few out of Peachtree City. All right, we're in the 40 mile an hour track, so we can come out and go with it now. All right, Pigeon Creek. Very cool. That should be an ACL bridge there. Let's go look and see real fast. I think it is. Yes, it is. Nice, nice, nice. That's pretty cool, right? I wish I had thought about it, gotten a better picture of it. But yeah, the old ACL bridge there, Atlantic Coastline, that is true life. That was actually there back then. I don't think it is now. All right, let's come out of dynamic. Figure out our counter. We can go with it here. All right, let's go. Let's get on it. We'll get out of here and finish this trip up. That'll be it for us. I know people have mentioned something about doing some of the other routes as well too. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. I want to tackle some kind of little private crossing right here. Looks like, yeah. Definitely want to do Tehachapi. It's been ages since I've been down Tehachapi, but yeah, we can do the other routes as well too. At least the ones I have. All right, let's count that off as well there. That resumed speed on the diamond board, the green backside, that's what that means, resume maximum authorized speed. I got clear about a 791 Q544. Yeah, we're gonna have us an evening arrival into Gay. If you guys aren't familiar with that location, they did a lot of filming for The Walking Dead in that area through Woodbury, Gay, Sonoy. All through there. That was after I left the railroad though. That was well after that. There you go. It's a little bit of a climb here. 0.75. It's going to take us up Persico Hill here. It shouldn't be as bad northbound as it is southbound. You guys remember last time we went up Persico Hill, we did it the opposite direction on a 12,000 ton coal train with 0.7 HPT, and we went up it maybe about 11 mile an hour or something like that. It's a good 3 mile grade. Yeah, northbound isn't anything like going southbound. Southbound is really bad. So we'll go down Persico Hill. It'll kind of flatten out a little bit at the bottom just for a little stretch, and then we'll climb up into Woodbury. We got the 25 at Woodbury we have to worry about. And then we'll drop down on the other side of Woodbury, and then I think we have a little knot at MLAC. I'm trying to remember these as best I can. All right, we're good for 50 now. All right, great shit crest right up here. I want to say Persico was a packing house or something back in the day for peaches or something like that. It seems like I remember reading something about that, like in some historical writings or something like that, that it was some kind of a packing house up here. I don't ever, like, it was nothing other than just the middle of nowhere when I knew it, but whistle post multiple times. I thought we only had the one little private crossing up here, right? The one farm crossing. I don't know if that's just a mistake or what, but... Alright, CSX Q544, got to clear by Persico. Signal's pretty much dead on. The common mast for both directions. That was a lot of them were like that on the Manchester sub. All right, we coming down the steep side now. We'll get some dynamics. We'll ride them down. Alright, 50 on a diamond board. Doesn't apply to us. We don't have to worry about that. No, this is so much better going the other way. Man, we might have to grab a little bit of air too on this. We'll see what she does. Yeah, she's coming on down. We're all right. Yeah, it's been ages since I've come this way northbound. If I ever have at all. I don't even know if I ever have. It's like going over a waterfall, right? Especially in a really, really super heavy train. Alright, great, starting to level out a little bit on us, or at least slack up some. Got our distant to Woodbury. Got to clear on the distant to Woodbury. 544. Woodbury's a tiny siding, wouldn't do much of anything there. It's only like, what, 4,000 feet, a little over, a little north of 4,000 feet. In fact, I think the only thing I ever took in and out of the siding at Woodbury was rock trains. Like, those would fit. They were never too terribly long. Ballast trains, stuff like that. All right, I think we're good for now. We can come into some power. Oh, we got the 35 up here. Totally forgot about the 35. Man, I'm not with it today, guys. I'm telling you right now, I'm just not with it. That's all right. We'll get a little air. We'll come out on the throttle, and it should be okay. He's right here in this curve, right? Oh, I love that kudzu. That just it just brings back so many memories. There we go, perfect. All right, let's knock it off. All right, so we got the 25 up here as well too. I totally forgot about that 35. Got the 25 and 1.3. Gonna be a 50 on a diamond board, but we're not gonna worry about it. We're not gonna be able to do that. All right, so we're kind of going back downhill a little bit, just around to the south end here, and then it'll pick up in this curve. Should, somewhere around there. Make sure our conductor's still awake. Yeah, he's still awake over there. He's doing good. All right, CSX Q544 got to clear south end of Woodbury. Woodbury's a place I'll never forget. The first train I was ever called for when I marked up as a conductor, I was actually called as a brakeman on a rock train out of, I'm trying to remember the name of the quarry. It was up around Tyrone, Georgia. We had to get like 50 cars of ballast out of there and take them south. It was me and one of the other guys that I hired out with. He was actually called as a conductor. I was called as a brakeman. So we had all kinds of issues that night getting that train out of there. I can't remember what all exactly happened, but we wound up going dead trying to get that train out of there. And they called a relief crew for us, right? And so I go home, I put off, I go home, I get my rest, and then I'm called for my second train that I had ever been called for on the railroad, and it was the same rock train, the very same rock train. I got called for it. This time the other crew had got it down to Woodbury and went dead in the siding. They wound up having to add another C30-7 to it. When we originally started out, we had two. We had like a CSX unit and a Conrail unit, and then they had to add another one to it because they were having problems, and then they wound up having brake issues. I'm trying to remember how all this went down. So we wound up taking possession of the train. It was sitting in the siding with the engines down towards the south end behind us there, and we had to do a brake test on it, and the independents weren't actuating correctly or something, and I'm trying to remember how all this went down, but the train was like creeping on us to the north because that's like a 1% grade through here, right? And a rock train, 50 cars of ballast, you know, a ballast train is like a little bowling ball. And so every time we would try to do this brake test, the train would creep a little bit and the brakes weren't actuating correctly. Like some of the independents were actuating and some of them weren't, or something like that. I can't remember, but I remember us having a lot of trouble and like having to tie on, tie a whole bunch of handbrakes on this train. And I remember the train master showing up out there and the road foreman of engines, and our engineer was like, he wasn't that experienced either. Like it was the blind leading the blind, literally. You had two guys, a conductor. Like not only was I called to relieve the same train that I had just gone dead previously on, but it was the exact same crew, same conductor, same brakeman, same engineer. So the engineer was fairly green, and of course me and the conductor were like, we were fresh out of school. We didn't know anything about anything. And I remember the road foreman showing up and the train master, they came up together, and it turned out that the previous the airlines weren't MU'd together correctly or something. It wasn't allowing the brakes to actuate, and that wasn't something like, as a conductor, that wasn't something that they taught you. Like you learned that on line of road. from the engineers. If you wanted to. If you wanted to learn that, you know, you could ask to go back and help MU the power and stuff like that. But it was a big headache. It was a huge ordeal there. I'll never forget that day. And we're having trouble with, you know, the brakes, and just nothing was going right. And I remember the road foreman and the train master was like, you know, I was like, well, you know, we had to tie on a whole bunch of handbrakes because the train kept trying to creep out of the siding on us. You know, we're getting closer and closer on that stop signal every time we try to get a brake test, and we wound up tying on a bunch of handbrakes. And the train master was like, well, why didn't you just push against the train, you know, put it in reverse and push against it? Now, nowadays in the rule book, that's like a huge no-no, right? I think it was even a no-no back then to put your train in reverse and push against it to keep it from rolling down the hill. But that was a really common thing that they did back then. Like, it did that all the time to hold a train in place, or, you know, to charge the brakes or whatever. I mean, that was really common, even with DC power. Like, it wasn't a big deal. Like, that was a practice that they did all the time. So it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess we could. It's just a mess. The whole thing was a huge mess. I'll never forget that. I was so ready to be done. Like I said, it was literally the blind leading the blind out there. We didn't know, you know. They put you through school, then they put you out, you know, to cub for 6 weeks. We got 6 weeks to cub, and then we marked up as conductors. And 6 weeks wasn't nearly, and like, you kind of knew the basics a little bit, but man, it was something else. It really just was. Yeah, let's get a little dynamic coming down this 25 here on the other side. Another 1% grade. I'm trying to think. We'll go downhill, and then, like I said, I think we go up a little knot into MLAC. There's going to be a signal there, and then it goes down, and then it climbs back up into Gay. I think that's how that goes down. Rock trains were always, ballast trains and rock trains were always such an incredible pain. They always had issues associated with them. It's always some kind of brake issues, like stuck brakes or brakes not working. Just it was a never-ending thing with those trains. Like, they always had some kind of issue. I guess because they were kind of older cars and they're beat up company cars, you know, like, it was always some kind of an issue, especially getting a brake test on those things. Like, you always had stuck brakes on those things. I couldn't tell you how many times I had to cut out air brakes on, like, ballast cars because they weren't working. Also have a story. I won't tell it on this video, but I'll tell another one of the night I had a ballast car roll away from me. That was great too. That was really nice. That's a whole story in itself. We'll get into that another time, but yeah, they were always such a headache. They really just were. Ballast cars and pulpwood cars. Pulpwood cars are always a pain in the butt too. All right, we're down at the bottom. We're climbing back up into MLAC here. Yeah, let the power settle here, and we'll come back in. Stretch the slack out just little bits. There we go. There's MLAC. All right. I forgot what a steep climb it was into MLAC. I thought it was just like a little bitty knot, but man, that's like 0.95%. we're fixing to be done, guys. Like, we're going to have this trip complete here in just a little bit. All right, CSX Q544 got clear by MLAC. I can't ever remember this engine number, so I don't ever bother. I really don't. It's like 63 something, right? 6503. This Spur's dyslexic this morning. Man, it's just not going good for me at all this morning. It really just isn't. I don't think we had any 6,500 units back in the day. I know this is a Conrail number on here. It would be different for CSX. It would be in the like the low 6,000s, like 6,000 to 63. I think back in the day, early CSX, like the 65s and 66, 67 were just straight GP40s, right? I think so. I think that was the slot that they gave the straight GP40s. All right, back down again. 0.8 down. Here's our 50 on a diamond. We'll go ahead and count that off. We'll count off a little early. It's a great thing about railroading on a sim. You don't have to worry about getting a letter. You can do everything wrong and not have to worry about getting a letter. All right, so our train length now is not going to be 5,700 feet. It's going to be 5487, so just a hair south of 55. Yeah, we'll keep plugging along. Yeah, we're definitely going to keep doing some more Red 8 videos. I'm really looking at possibly getting into Railroads Online too. I like the concept of that game, like building your own little railroad empire. And you know, it's completely yours. Like, you lay the track, you do everything, you set it up. I like that concept a lot. Yeah, we're getting a little bit fast here. A little bit fast. I really don't want to have to grab any air for that if I don't have to, and I really don't want to go into dynamics either. Spur doesn't want to do anything right now. Just go to ride it. Yeah, she's creeping up on us a little bit there. She's creeping on us a little bit. We're just going to keep going with it. It'll be fine. Yeah, she is creeping on us big time. We may wind up having to grab some air. Oh, we just need like 1,000 feet. It's fine. You know what? We're going to fudge it. It'll be all right. There we go. We out of it now. We should be close any time now, like another car or two. There we go. All right, so we should have a little bit of a downhill here, and then it'll start climbing back up in the gate, and that's going to be it. We'll be done for this trip. Like I said, we'll go over on the West Coast some. I really, West Coast is like completely and totally foreign to me. I don't know anything about it. You know, I don't know anything about the history. I don't know anything about the ops. I don't know. Spur knows nothing about any of that stuff, so I couldn't tell you much about anything about it, but we'll do some more Southeast stuff too. We'll probably change up the format of the videos a little bit. They'll be more focused on like just little short mini like segments of a trip and not the full trip, right? So We may do one where we take a, you know, like a 16,000 ton grain train down to Tehachapi, and then that would be it for that. We would do something else the next time. All right, CSXQ 544 got a clear on the distant to gay. 6503 north out. See, I finally remembered it. It only took us from Waycross up to here to memorize that. It's definitely a fun route. It works you to death. It really does. Anyone that runs this route will tell you it can work you to death. Like all the throttle modulation, the brakes, the going in dynamics, out of dynamics, you know, grabbing some air, releasing it, blowing, and then like blowing the horn on top of all that. Like it gets really super busy. It's just, and it's constantly up and down. 1% down, 1% up, 1% down, 1% up. Like it's just, it's a roller coaster. It really just is. I think people don't realize like how incredibly challenging this route can be, and you can run it multiple ways too. You can do nothing but air if you want, or you can do nothing but dynamics. It's just all on how you want to run the route. What's your operating philosophy? You know, I'm more air heavy. I like using air because I like having the power available when I want it. You know, versus being in dynamics and having to come all the way out and go back into power and all that stuff. Yeah, gonna come out of the DD here. Nice little sunset we got going on. I would love to see high-end sky effects in game. I think that would really take it light years ahead visually. Either like skyboxes, you know, a skybox or something that just gives it nice cloud effects and stuff like that. All right, 50 on the diamond board.
Equipment defect detector. Milepost 805.1.
So if we were to take this train into Atlanta, we could go one of two ways. We could go up to Union City and we could jump over to the A&WP. Of course, this is in real life. This isn't in sim. We don't have that, unfortunately. But we would have taken it up to Union City. You could jump on to A&WP and go through downtown that way, like by the CNN Center and all that stuff. Or you could have stayed on the old ACL and gone up through like Ben Hill and Stratford and that way, and take it into the yard. I went through downtown twice. I went actually with Fitzgerald Cruise when I was cubbing, but I was never really qualified for that. I saw it the one time. It was never comfortable with that. So anytime they'd ask if I was A&WP qualified, I'd be like, nope, I'm not. Just take me the old way. The only way I know to go. Because you go to A&WP, like you had to run on the NS and all that stuff, and I don't know, it was just kind of, it was a little different, right? All right, got a clear on Southgate. U544. But yeah, those were the two ways you could go. So it basically gave them like a double main into the yard at Tilford there with the A&WP, and the crossover that they put in Union City, that was like a game changer. It really kind of opened it up. But the one thing I remember about going into Atlanta was going to this place called Chapel Road and sitting there for hours and hours and hours on end, waiting to get into the yard. It didn't matter if you had a clear. If you had a clear signal, if you're running on all clears, but they didn't tell you to come by Chapel Road, you did not go by Chapel Road. You sat there and waited until they told you to come on by Chapel Road. And vice versa. If they told you to come by Chapel Road, doesn't mean you're going to have a signal on down the line. Like that was something one of our crews ran into. They cleared them by Chapel Road, but they didn't have a signal and wound up getting by a stop signal up there on a 1% grade.
5.1.
Are you kidding me?
First, hotspot, north, rail, axle, 354, total axle, 366, end of transmission.
354. Are you kidding me? Really? We were going to finish this trip up and we've got a hot... it's going to be stuck brakes. I almost guarantee. We'll look at it and see here in a second. Yeah, that's going to be stuck brakes. I guarantee you. I could be wrong, but I think it is. We'll look at it in a second here and see. Let's go in dynamics. Yep, I knew it. We got one hanging on to figures, right? That absolutely figures. One car hanging on the bottom. One car has got a problem with its triple valve or something and it's wanting to stick. And it's on the very bottom too. How fitting is that? You know, we'll stop and we'll fix it. Really, there's not much we could do. We could cut it out, right? We'll go look at, we'll see if we can find it. I don't really want to touch the brakes. I want to leave it. Independent might hold it for us. Maybe we can stop short of this crossing here a little bit. Alright, let's get some independent here. Sweet. Alright, we're stopped. That looks good. Yeah, we're not going to, it should hold us here just fine. We're not going to touch here. I don't want to touch here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop down and we're going to teleport to the bottom. I don't even remember. I thought it said it was 354 or something like that. So we'll go through here. See if we can find the car. That looks like that's going to be it right there. 193 degrees. Yeah, 59. This is it right here. The NAHX car. 162857. That's going to be the one with the stuck brakes. Not only that, but you look at the temp. You'll see the temp on it, 187. So it's cooling off. It's cooling off. We could, like, if we'd stopped, we could have drawn them down really tight. And then when we knocked them off, it probably would have fixed it. But I wanted you guys to see that the brake cylinder, if you look right here, you see B cylinder means the brake cylinder's about half. Right? You see that one's off. And that one's off as well, too. And that one. So, yeah, this is our car right here. So, yeah, hot. It's, you know, running hot, 176 degrees. As well as got a little bit of brake air pressure in the brake cylinder. So what we're going to do to fix this thing is, let's see, I think we cut it out like so. Oh, it's rolling back on us a little bit there. Nice. And just bleed it. Sweet. All right, so that car is cut out. We cut the brakes out on this car and we bled it. And we should be good to go. Let's double check, make sure. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. Yeah, I mean, technically, yeah, we could have just drawn them down tight. That might would have fixed it. It could have a problem with it, but that should fix it. All right, let's go ahead and... we only got a little bit further to go. We're going to go ahead and go all the way to the end. Yeah, that was a little dicey what we did there, not applying the big brake when we stopped on the side of this hill, because it is 0.45% grade, but I wanted you guys to see that brake pressure in the cylinder. from that the stuck brakes on that car. So I could have very well done that. I thought I got 10 pounds every time we used the air. I could be wrong. Sometimes they're just a little bit sticky. Like you just have a car with a bad brake valve and it's just sticky. Like there's just nothing you can really do about it except cut it out. So that is exactly what we did. We eliminated that car. We don't have to worry about it anymore. It's good to go now. Of course, there's some kind of rule about that. You could cut out a certain percentage of cars. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was like 10% or something like that. There we go. All right, we got an approach on the north end again. There's XQ544. We're going to see how far this goes. It's probably not going to go very far on the other side of town here. In real life, next sighting would be Harrelson, I think. I think it is. I can't remember the order of them up there. It's been so long. We had what, Harrelson, Tyrone, Peachtree City, Union City, Ben Hill, and then the double track up there. Double track going into Atlanta. That's one thing. Another thing I won't ever forget. There's a place called Stratford, and it was a hangout for a lot of homeless people and drug addicts. This is the most I'd ever seen in my life. Like tons of people used to hang out up there by that switch. It was kind of behind like this old, I guess it was an abandoned strip mall. I really don't know. Some kind of building that they would hang out and they would be sitting on like milk crates and boxes and stuff like that. Just shooting up drugs, like smoking and shooting up right there in broad daylight, like in front of everyone. It was wild. It was wild to see up there. All right, let's go 0.88 down. We're going to run this thing off the end of the track. I just want to see how far it goes. That's the end of the line back there at the north end. It shouldn't go too much further. It may go a mile or so. Yeah, I got a reduction of 40 in 0.2 miles, 15 in 1.9. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what's up here. I honestly, I couldn't tell you. I've never been up here. We'll find out shortly. That 15 may be a signal up here. It could be a signal that's showing a stop or restricting. There, we'll gather up a little bit of slack. It's going to be ending anytime now, probably in 1.1 miles. I don't even think there's really much of anything up here scenery-wise. goes off. Yeah, I think it'd be fun to do something on Tehachapi. I haven't been on that route, and I couldn't tell you. It's been years. And it's a completely different kind of railroading too. I think it'd be fun. We'll take either a grain train down Tehachapi Loop or maybe one of the Wasco coal trains. That would be a good one. I think the grain train is going to be by far the heaviest. I think they were probably, what, 15,000, 16,000 tons. Had, you know, power on the head end, swing helpers, and then rear pusher. And then the Wasco trains, you just had power on the head end and then a pusher on the bottom, and that was it. DPU on the bottom. Yeah, this is it. End of the line. Okay, I see the signal was for AI, I guess. Let's see what it does. Nice. That is it. The end of the line, guys. We did it finally. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed our full northbound trip on the Q544 from Waycross up to north of Gay. Love all of you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the rails next time. Peace.